Hello everyone. Welcome back. I'm Kris. Or welcome. This is my last video. I was supposed to record last week. I did like 55 hours. I was just exhausted. 11-hour days, minus the drive to work, minus the drive back home. So it was over 12 and a half hours. It was just, and then one guy called in sick that I work with all the time. It was just a busy day, busy week. And then I still got 10 of my 11 videos done for the week. The 11th video was this one. And I did not have any time. No, I did not have any time to, oh, it's doing this again, isn't it? That's good. We like that. I didn't have any time to do the final video. So it is Sunday night, 7:22, and we're gonna knock this one out now because it's gonna be uploaded tomorrow for Monday. So, without further ado, I'm tired. It's okay. You click that thumbs up button for me. That helps out tremendously. Subscribe to the channel. You can donate to the channel if you'd like to through the thanks button. And just like you, your name will be sponsoring this video. Well, you can't sponsor this video because this video is already sponsored by YouBuyWeRush. So, if you want to have your name sponsoring a video, you just donate. Tell me what video you want me to see. And you can still donate. I lost track of where I was. You can still donate without you can still request without donating. Wow. It just takes a little bit longer, but right now I'm kind of I'm not too far behind, but still am. I'm just gonna get started. The last video that I did of this drove me crazy because the people were, we don't want that angel, we want a different one. All right, let's get into the video. I went back a couple seconds. Big whoopie-doo.
واتبعوا ما تتلو الشياطين على ملك سليمان وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر وما أنزل على الملكين ببابل هاروت وماروت وما يعلمان من أحد حتى يقولا إنما نحن فتنة فلا تكفر فيتعلمون منهما ما يفرقون به بين المرء وزوجه وما هم بضارين به من أحد إلا بإذن الله ويتعلمون ما يضرهم ولا ينفعهم ولقد علموا لمن اشتراه ما له في الآخرة من خلاق ولبئس ما شروا به أنفسهم لو كانوا يعلمون. And they...
That was a long one. That felt like that was a long one compared to the others.
Followed what the devils had recited during the reign of Sulaiman. It was not Sulaiman who disbelieved, but the devils disbelieved, teaching people magic and that which was revealed to the two angels Babylon, Harut and Marut, but they do not teach anyone unless they say, we are a trial, so do not disbelieve. And they learn from them that by which they cause separation between a man and his wife, but they do not harm anyone through it except by permission of Allah. And they learn what harms them and does not benefit them. But they certainly knew that whoever Yeah, but they certainly knew that whoever purchased it would not have in the hereafter any share, and wretched is that for which they sold themselves if they only knew.
I'm just glad he didn't go through that whole, I'll call it the sing song, you know, how he did the verse, and then do the English translation, which was, and Muhammad says yes, and that's it. I would have been like, really? All that for he said yes, that was it? I'm glad they could have played a joke on me. I'd have been like, wow, it's a lot of words for yes.
In this ayah, there are a number of benefits that we're going to take as fast as we can. First of all, السحر علم يتعلم. Magic is a science that is learnt. It's not something you're born with. The second thing we're going to learn is that the ruling of magic is kufr, disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that there is no such thing as good magic or white magic. There's no such thing as sihrun abiyad or sihrun fihi khair. There is no khair in it at all.
When he says magic, he's not meaning it in the context of like magic that I'm thinking of, where like, you know, Doctor Strange is gonna, you know, open up a portal or something like that. Is he referring to? Oh, are they thinking that Muhammad's doing magic? That's got to be what it is, right? They think that Muhammad's doing magic. And if they think that, then that gives them a reason to not believe in him. I think that's it. I'm going to stick with that. Watch him completely just call me a liar. You'd be like, no, you're wrong, Kris. I'll be like, oh, okay.
We understood that it is something that has a real effect. It's not just takhil. It's something that has, it's not just imagination. It has a real effect. يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ. They break between the husband and wife. And we learned that it only harms by the permission of Allah. As for their statement about Sulaiman, they claimed that Sulaiman controlled the jinn, that Allah gave him as a miracle. They claimed that he controlled the jinn through magic. And they claimed that it was because of sihr that Sulaiman controlled the jinn. Rather, it was because of the dala'il al-nubuwwah. It was min dala'il nubuwwatihi, alayhi salatu wassalam. It was from the evidences of his prophethood that he had control over the jinn, not because of magic. And it shows there is nothing good in magic, not even fakk al-sihr bil-sihr. As some people said, breaking magic with magic or using magic to break magic, it can never be done. Also here, the angels. There's a lot of kalam, كثر كلام أهل العلم about this issue of the angels, the malakain bi Babil. Were they angels, or were all of the discussion that happens, were they two kings? Lakin the zahir of the ayah is they were two angels who were sent as a fitnah. They were not, they were sent as a test, not that they were practicing kufr. No, the angels don't disbelieve in Allah. But the angels were sent as a test and a trial, saying that this is the knowledge of magic, don't learn it. Nobody come and take this knowledge. And some people from the shayateen, they took it. And that's Zahir al-ayah. But there's some discussion about the scholars about whether they were angels or whether they were instead, were they two kings, or how it came. Like in the story of Sulaiman is well known, that underneath, Sulaiman took the books of magic away from the people and the shayateen. He took the books of magic away and he buried them under his throne. And when he died, the people took out the books and said, this is how Sulaiman controlled his kingdom. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rebuked them for that. وَمَا كَفَرَ سُلَيْمَانَ وَلَكِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ كَفَرُوا. Sulaiman did not disbelieve, but the shayateen disbelieved.
Suleiman is Solomon, right? And was Solomon a prophet? Solomon. Why does it sound like Solomon? prophet or was that King Solomon? Was Solomon a king? King Solomon. King Solomon sounds correct. Okay. So, regardless of that part, he buried the books under his throne. And then they dug them up after he died. And they were scolded for that. I don't quite understand. Did he bury books of magic that were... wait. Were the books of magic meant to control the jinn? And instead of potentially using them for bad or for good, he just buried the books so that no one could use them? And that's why... I think I've confused myself. You guys will explain it to me. I think that's what it was. I think it's King Solomon. Yeah, King Solomon. Yes, okay, King Solomon. And he buried the books to protect the people from the jinn. That's what I'm going to say.
لو أنهم آمنوا واتقوا لمثوبة من عند الله خير لو كانوا يعلمون. And if they had believed and feared Allah, then the reward from Allah would have been better if they only knew. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقولوا راعنا وقولوا انظرنا واسمعوا وللكافرين عذاب أليم. O you who have believed, say not راعنا, but say انظرنا and listen, and for the disbelievers is a painful punishment.
And this ayah has a great benefit. This ayah has a benefit of سد الذريعة ولو كان في الأصل جائزا. يعني ولو كان الأصل جائزا. يعني that this word راعنا, يعني look after our affairs, this word is a permissible word and the Sahaba used it in a good way. But what happened was the Yahud started to use it in a disrespectful way to the Prophet ﷺ. So Allah prohibited the believers from saying it, even though it was not wrong for them in the first place. When they used to say it, they used to say it in a good way. But Allah prohibited them, saddan lidhari'ah, to stop the chance of the Yahud taking advantage to use the word in the wrong way. And instead they were told to say unzurna. And instead, here, wasma'u, what they are told to listen to is not mentioned. And wasma'u, and listen to what? And listen to the Quran, listen to the Prophet ﷺ, listen to what you are commanded. And it contains adab. And this is an ayah of manners. But it's also an ayah of don't allow something which is permissible to lead to something which is haram. Because the original word ra'ina, they used it in a permissible way. But later it became used by the Yahud in a way that was disrespectful. So Allah prohibited them from saying it and gave them another word to say instead, saddan lidhari'ah, to stop the harm from coming about and the paths that lead to sin. And this is adab with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's from the ayat of good manners with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
ما يود الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب ولا المشركين أن ينزل عليكم من خير من ربكم والله يختص برحمته من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. Neither those who disbelieve from the people of the scripture nor the polytheists that any good should be sent down to you from your Lord, but Allah selects for His mercy whom He wills, and Allah is the possessor of great bounty.
And from their jealousy, they don't want anything good to happen. From their jealousy, they don't want anything good to happen. However, now what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? وَاللَّهُ يَخْتَصُ بِرَحْمَتِهِ مَن يَشَاءُ. Allah is the one who chooses who gets His mercy. You don't choose. ليس بأمانيكم ولا أماني أهل الكتاب ولا أماني أهل الكتاب. It's not because of your desires or the desires of the people of the book. Rather, it's going to be because Allah Azza wa Jal chose to give His blessings, and Iman is a blessing from Allah. That Allah chooses to give it to whoever He wants, and He gives it with wisdom and justice. Now,
ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها ألم تعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير. We do not abrogate a verse or cause it to be forgotten except that we bring forth better than it or similar to it. Do you not know that Allah is over all things competent?
النسخ, abrogation, is the reality of it is moving from one ruling to another. Going from one ruling to another ruling. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does whatever He wants with His ruling. He is Al-Hakim, the one who has the right to rule and legislate whatever He wants. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes some rulings, removes some texts or ayat, brings others in its place as He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reason this ayah came down is because the Yahud كانوا ينكرون النسخ. They used to say there is no abrogation, even though abrogation was mentioned to them in the Torah. And abrogation is of different types. For example, it may be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps the ayah but removes the ruling. And we're going to see examples in the Quran where the ayah is there and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes away the ruling and brings another ruling in its place. And it could be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps the ruling and took away the ayah in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like ayatul rajm, the ayah of stoning to death. The ayah was recited, then the ayah was taken. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't recite it anymore, but the ruling stayed. And it may be that there are different combinations. And we talk about the sunnah coming to abrogate what is in the Quran, and the Quran abrogating what is in the sunnah. All of this is a long discussion in usul al-fiqh. But the point is that the Yahud did not accept it, even though it was in the Torah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed the wisdom. This is Allah's right to remove any ruling that He wills, or to send down any ruling that He wills, or to change any ruling that He wills. However, this is in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. It doesn't happen after that. So it doesn't happen that now we come and there is an ayah missing from the Mus'haf. Rather, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Why I say that is, some people, what they do is that they mix up what happened with Uthman radiallahu anhu and the organizing of the Mus'haf with the issue of al-Nasr. So they talk about, this happening in the time of Uthman. And no, this is in the time of the Prophet, in the time of the revelation coming down, the time of Nuzul al-Wahi, the revelation coming down. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifts up whatever He wants and keeps whatever He wants subhanahu wa ta'ala.
ألم تعلم أن الله له ملك السماوات والأرض وما لكم من دون الله من ولي ولا نصير. Do you not know that to Allah belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and you have not besides Allah any protector or any helper?
And from this also you see the mercy of Allah with us, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was so merciful to us that He gave every single thing that we need and every law and every ruling at its correct time.
أم تريدون أن تسألوا رسولكم كما سئل موسى من قبل ومن يتبدل الكفر بالإيمان فقد ضل سواء السبيل. Or do you intend to ask your messenger as Musa was asked before, and whoever exchanged faith for disbelief has certainly strayed from the soundness of the way?
In here, what is meant here is either the address is to the Muslims or to the Yahud. It's either Allah is speaking to the Muslims and saying, don't ask the Prophet ﷺ in the way that Bani Israel used to ask. For example, when they said, Arina Allah jahra, show us Allah in the open, for example. Or where they said, يَسْأَلُكَ أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ أَن تُنَزِّلَ عَلَيْهِمْ كِتَابًا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. They came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, why don't you bring us a book from the heavens? SubhanAllah, the Quran is coming down. They said, no, we want a physical, bring the physical book down from the sky. And
if Muhammad convinced, let's just say he convinced Allah to come down, they would have just said it was magic, or it was somebody dressed up, or you know what I mean? They would have come up with an excuse. A book could have fallen from the sky, landed, and they would have probably thought, well, clearly somebody was standing on that mountain and threw it, and it went through the clouds, and it is a little foggy today, so we didn't see it actually come. Anything would have been an excuse. It wouldn't have mattered. They're so ingrained in whatever you say, we don't believe. And you get to a point where it's like it's not worth trying to convince them. You're like, okay. Like I'm done. I'm done trying to help and just relate this to your life, and you're trying to do something and somebody's constantly telling you nope, I can, and they're just, it's no matter what you do, they don't want to listen. They've got a better way, which they never implement. You're never going to convince some people. And this is exactly what it sounds like he's dealing with. But the patience that man had. Oh.
Yet, فَقَدْ سَأَلُوا مُوسَى أَكْبَرَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. They asked Musa what is bigger than that. فَقَالُوا أَرِنَا اللَّهَ جَهْرَةً. They said, show us Allah in the open. And the other things they asked, don't ask. So either the khitab is to the believers, don't ask. The Prophet ﷺ, the way that the Yahud asked Musa, or it is also to the Yahud about asking the Prophet ﷺ the things that in the way they used to ask Musa before. So they said to the Prophet ﷺ, send down a book from the sky. And they said to the Prophet ﷺ, send down a book from the sky. The same way they said to Musa, أَرِنَا اللَّهَ جَهْرًا, show us Allah in the open. So it's to be, both of them are applicable, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best.
وَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لَوْ يَرُدُّونَكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ إِيمَانِكُمْ كُفَّارًا حَسَدًا مِّنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِهِمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الْحَقُّ فَاعْفُوا وَاصْفَحُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Many of the people of the scripture wish they could turn you back to disbelief after you have believed, out of envy from themselves, after the truth has become clear to them. So pardon and overlook until Allah delivers His command. Indeed, Allah is over all things competent.
I don't like this over all things competent. Allah is capable of doing all things, or Allah is able to do all things. Ala kulli hal, the ayah came down about the hasad of Ahlul Kitab. When they showed such jealousy, what are we supposed to do? فَاعْفُوا وَاصْفَحُوا. Pardon them and overlook their mistakes. حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. What's the amr here? الْأَمْرُ بِالْجِهَادِ. Until Allah commands you to wage war against them. And until you're given permission to wage war against them, فَاعْفُوا وَاصْفَحُوا. Pardon them, overlook. When they treat you badly, treat them well. Until Allah decrees that you're going to be able to fight them. حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. This ayah is not, Wallahu a'lam, mansukha. It's not mansukha. It's not abrogated. Some of them brought the ayah is abrogated by ayat al-jihad. When Allah said, to fight against them. Like here, the reality is whenever the Muslims are in a situation like that, this is what we have to do. If you're in a situation where your enemies are surrounding you and you cannot fight against them, so what will you do? فَاعْفُوا وَأَصْفَحُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. Be patient, let it go, overlook, show them the beauty of Islam until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings about a situation where you're able to fight against their transgression and to repel their transgression. And Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best.
وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وما تقدموا لأنفسكم من خير تجدوه عند الله إن الله بما تعملون بصير. And establish prayer and give zakah, and whatever good you put forward for yourselves, you will find it with Allah. Indeed, Allah of what you do is seen.
Do these things, busy yourself with these things at the time, before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees that you can fight them. Does that make sense? Before the time when you're going to fight them, what are you going to busy yourself with? When they're oppressing you and misbehaving towards you and you cannot fight them, busy yourself with your prayer, busy yourself with your zakah, busy yourself with learning knowledge until Allah decrees such a time that you can repel their transgression. And in those times, you're not going to leave your salah and your zakah. The point is, don't sit still doing nothing, just crying and saying, I wish we could have done something. Busy yourself. SubhanAllah, when the ulama say this, people get upset. They say, oh, why are you not telling the people to fight? Why are you not telling the people to go out on the street? We're telling the people, busy yourself with your salah, your zakah, your seeking knowledge. Busy yourself with treating people in a good way, giving da'wah to people. حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. Until Allah brings about His command with regard to the people who transgress against you. And then you will have, along with your salah and your zakah, you will also have other ibadat that you can take part in.
So, instead of crying that they're not listening or something like that, and I'm asking just to make sure, is he saying, instead of sitting around oh, why didn't we do this, blah, blah, I got to yawn. That was a good one. Instead of sitting around and crying, take that energy and do something positive with it. Take all that energy and put it into something that's actually going to be worthwhile. And it's not going to just make you feel like you're just punching yourself in the head because nothing's happening. So take that energy and put it into something that betters you, or, helping other people or something. Is that kind of, that's what I took from it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's perfectly fine to take something like that and use it on yourself. If you're trying to help people that don't want to be helped, save that energy. And you could pray, you could volunteer, you could read about, something. Yeah. Don't waste, you've burned that time in your life and that energy. Take it somewhere else. Take it where you're going to feel a reward. You're going to get a reward from it. Even if it's reading a book, you've learned something. You feel fulfilled if it's volunteering. You feel connection if it's praying. Do something else, because you're just wasting your time. And the more time you waste, they don't care. It's not their time. They're continuing to do what they want to do. And what they want to do is to waste your time. That's what I got out of that. That last part, at least. Not the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to end this here. And I gotta yawn. I'm probably only going to get one video done tomorrow because my Lions play Monday night. So I'm going to be behind on videos again. And then Tuesday, they caulked sections of the roof. And I have to try to soak the roof, try to find where this leak is. We saw it, We just don't know where it's coming from. So they caulked a bunch of the channels and stuff like that in the roof. And I heard them talking. They had like 4 options, and the 5th option was worst case scenario, which you never want to hear. And the worst case scenario was basically ripping off everything that they've done and resealing everything and ripping out wood that didn't need to be replaced and just replacing it. It's like, oh, yeah. That's another $1,000. But I'm hoping it doesn't get to that point. Because so far, it's been about $1,700 in what's the word? Supplies. About $1,700 in supplies and another $2,200 in labor. And it's been 5 weeks. Stop. Anyways, enough of my complaining. We're going to go ahead and end this here. But we'll be back with part 5. But until then, have a good day, have a good night.